Hey guys, are you enjoying Super Bowl week? Well, I am. I love the food. I have to admit it, I love the chicken. Anyways, today's topic is Animal Farm by George Orwell. Well, when I first picked up this book, first of all, this we were reading it in our school for about a month and a half, I guess, and it's actually this short. It's a small book, but then it has a lot deep meaning to it. So anyways, when I first picked up the book, I'm like, there's a pig and there's the author. I'm like, this must be a very boring book. And actually, that's what I first thought. But that's when you read it, when you're not mature enough to understand it. So this genre is historical fiction. And it's about the Russian Revolution of 1917, which was a big revolution between America and Russia. And this kind of shows the relationship between America and Russia through animals and human beings. So that's why it's called Animal Farm, but I might get a little deeper into that meaning. So let me introduce you the main characters of the story. But the sad thing about the story is, spoiler alert, almost everyone dies. Sorry, I spoiled it, but it's true. So the first character that actually comes out is Old Major, and he's the wise and old boar. So he's a pig, but he's like, he's a tough one, and he's lived for a long time, and he's gonna die in 3 days. And what he does in the first chapter, chapter 1, is, well, he gives all the animals, he rounds up all the animals, and then he gives them a speech. So not a speech like, we shall all eat hay. No, that's not a speech. But he shares them about a dream that he had. And the dream was about animals getting freedom. And he even made a song. It's called Beasts of England. And technically, it's on this page. And I don't want to sing it because I'm not really good at singing. But technically, the point of this song, the message it's trying to give to the animals, is that one day there will be a time where all animals are free of slavery and whipping and people sitting on their backs. That must really hurt if you think about it. So he's saying that all animals will be free one day, but that's only if a rebellion happens. So let me tell you the whole overview because I bet you're confused right now. So all of these animals are in a farm right now, and it's called the Manor Farm. It's run by a really mean guy, poopy head, named Mr. Jones. And Mr. Jones really likes torturing these animals. Yeah, I guess that's what all humans do. So what they do is that Old Major says, we can't stand this anymore. And he gives it a whole rant to the cows, like, how many gallons of milk have you given? And how much of that has gone to your kids? And then he goes to the chickens. How many eggs have you laid? And how many of those hatched? So he goes on with this rant, and then he makes this emotional connection with the reader and the animals, which makes him a lot more convincing than just saying like, oh, we should rebel because he sucks. Because then that doesn't really get through because it sounds like only you want it and they don't want it. But then he makes that kind of speech, and then 3 days later he dies. So I'm like, with this book. And then here's the important part. This is the start of the real war. I guess I could say there's about 5 main characters, in my opinion. Boxer, he's a horse. He's the strongest animal on the farm, and he actually has like the strength of maybe all the animals on the farm combined. It's unrealistic, but it's a book. It's a historical fiction. So let's keep it at fiction. So there's Boxer, the horse, and then there's the 3 pigs, and I hate 2 of them, I like 1 of them. So one of them, the one I like, is Snowball. And let me warn you in advance that these names are really weird, like for a book. So there's a pig named Snowball, and he's not as white as you think he is. But then he's the intelligent and really kind one, and he's the actual leader after Old Major died and after the rebellion happened. Oh, I should tell you about the rebellion after the characters. So we have Boxer and Snowball right now. And then the second pig is Squealer. So Squealer is a porker. It's a big fat porker. And if you don't know what the difference between boars and porkers is boars are pigs that are like wild that you shouldn't eat because they have too much fat and stuff. But then porkers are the ones that you eat. You're like, oh, this is really good. Like the bacon. That's what you eat. So technically you eat Squealer. So he's kind of a follower. So if you give him a good idea, if he gets something in return, then he'll do it. And then third pig, which one I really don't like, is Napoleon. And I'm not going to tell you any more about him. Just think about the name Napoleon. Don't you kind of feel like, oh, I remember that guy from the history class that I almost slept in, where he was that dictator thing, yeah, that killed a bunch of people. I remember him. So that's what I first felt when I heard the name Napoleon. So those are 4 so far, right? Boxer, Snowball, Squealer, and Napoleon. And I'm gonna first, before I tell you about the last character, I'm gonna tell you the relationship between Squealer and Napoleon. So Napoleon is kind of like a dictator. He becomes Mr. Jones after they chase him off. So yeah, this is a spoiler alert, but it's a review, so anyways, he's a dictator and he's well notorious for getting what he wants. Oh, sounds like Al Capone. Surprising. And he's strong too, but not as strong as Boxer. So what he does is he uses his brain, because he's actually a smart pig. He's just like really mean and stuff. He tortures the animals. I should tell him about that. So anyways, he uses Squealer. So remember how I said that Squealer is a follower? So if he gets something out of it, he just follows that person. Napoleon, he says, you can be part of our leader team if you can speak for me. So Squealer is technically the muscles, I guess, and Napoleon is the brain. Oh my god, it's like Mega Mind. So Napoleon says, Squealer, you say these things when you round up the animals. And then he says it. But then the thing is that animals are really stupid if you didn't know already. I'm sorry, but they're stupid. Like, really stupid. The part of the smarter animals, pigs, horses. Everyone else is dumb. So that's one of the reasons why all of the leaders, Old Major, Napoleon, Snowball, well, that's why they're all pigs. Because let's say like a fish ran a farm. That would be pretty sad. You know how dumb fish are. Anyways, let's stop insulting animals. And then the 5th character, which some of the people may not think that this person is important, but I do. I think that Clover is important. And she's a female horse, female. And she's a very, very good friend of Boxer. And they treat each other like siblings, like family. And then when Boxer goes to heaven, Clover is very sad. So what I like about Clover is that she has a strong mind. She's not very easily shaken, and neither is Boxer. So that's why I think they kind of go together as siblings. And then I'll tell you what Clover does. I'll tell you that later. I'll make sure to tell you. So I keep mentioning this rebellion thing. So what is that? When Old Major died, Snowball was the leader. Snowball said, "Hey, we let our leader die of old age." Yeah, he died of old age. He was really old. 12 years old. 12 years old. He died at the age of 12. Oh my god. So sad. I'm 13, by the way. I should be dead by now, right? Because I'm an animal too. Okay. Anyways, that was pretty funny, wasn't it? Okay, so the rebellion. What happened was Snowball said, I can't just stand and watch my leader get buried, okay? So he said, you know what, we're gonna do this rebellion. We're gonna, how do you say this? We're gonna accomplish Old Major's dreams. we're gonna do it. So what they do is, it actually happens coincidentally. They plan it multiple times, it all fails. And then, what happened was Mr. Jones, he did something that agitated the animals, and the animals were like, "Aah!" And the boxer kicked them, and they all and then they chased them off. So now there's only animals on the farm. That's how they got the name Animal Farm. I should tell you about this. So there are commandments that they made. Like, you know how, well, I think some of you might be Christian. There's the 10 Commandments, right? Well, Snowball, Squealer, and Napoleon decided that all Major's teaching should be considered as a religion. So they made that animalism. And that was the basic idea and principle that all animals are equal and no animals are more equal than others. Surprising how that ends. So I think I should read you the 7 commandments because they alter very much at the beginning. So number 1, whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. 2, whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. So there's technically saying that humans are bad and animals are good. Yeah, that's it. Number 3, no animal shall wear clothes. At first, I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. But then if you think about it, if they don't wear clothes, they're naked. And there's girls and boys on that farm. I feel a little uncomfortable. Number 4, no animal shall sleep in a bed. So let me tell you that later though. It's gonna be a spoiler. Number 5, no animal shall drink alcohol. At first I thought that was stupid, like why would an animal drink alcohol? Like seriously? But then I was really surprised how it ended. Number 6, no animal shall kill any other animal. And I thought that was a very important one because animals tend to kill other animals because I guess cannibalism is a common thing in animals. If they're hungry and they don't have anything to eat, they eat each other. Okay, it's just how they live. And then number 7, all animals are equal. Oh, I'm so tempted to tell you how this ends, but I'm not. So actually, before I tell you about spoilers at the ending, I'm actually gonna tell you what I did to my poor little book. This is what I did. I'm not showing this to you so that I can brag about what I did. I don't really care about that. The reason why I color-coded and took notes is because this book is very hard to understand. Technically it's about animals on the farm. It really is. But there's much deeper meaning to that. And then as soon as you get into the book, the real war is between Napoleon, the animals, and Snowball. So I actually marked everything. Description of the animals, which is green, and then signs of dictatorship, and behind the scenes with Napoleon. And then the orange one is the pro side for Snowball. And then the blue one is Squealer and Napoleon insulting Snowball. So I'm actually going to tell you what happens to Snowball right now because it impacts a lot of the story. So what they do is Napoleon said, Snowball, you're getting in my way of my leadership. So I'm going to chase you off. So what he does is there are 2 dogs on the farm, Bluebell and Jessie. Well, there's another one, Pincher, but no one really cares about that one. So there's Bluebell and Jessie, and they have children. That kind of sounds weird. But they have children, and then Napoleon says, we're kind of leaders, right? Squealer, Snowball, and I, we're leaders. So, I'll just take care of those puppies for you. I'll train them well, educate them well. And notice how I said trained. So what he does is he turns them into a private-owned army. Wow. And that's why I hate Napoleon. He takes these poor little puppies and turns them into a private army. So what he does with those poor little puppies is he turns them into ferocious beasts. And now what he does is he commands them. Because they think that Napoleon is their daddy, right? Because they were taken away from their parents at birth. He took them away and said, I'm going to train them. So what he said that, so what he did with the dogs was that he went to Snowball and then flashback. He says, I don't like you, you're getting in the way, so I'm going to get rid of you. What he does is he commands the poor little puppies to go kill Snowball. But then obviously they can't kill a fat little pig. So what they do is they hurt him. They bite his leg, they gnaw on it, and there's blood drizzling, and then he eventually is chasing off. So that's the sad thing about Snowball. There was a lot of events, important events, before Snowball was chased off, but I think you should find that out for yourself. For example, the Battle of the Cowshed. Yeah, you should read that one. It's really funny. Really funny. So, anyways, so there's my notes. And then I'm gonna skip towards kind of the end. So, because I don't want to get long and spoil everything for you. So towards the end, Squealer and Boxer have this argument. So what the argument is about? Well, I wonder too. So what happens is that Squealer, so every Sunday, all the animals are gathered, and Squealer is on top of them, on like a box, and he speaks to them as like he's a leader or something, giving them information and orders. So what he does is he announces that Snowball has sold himself to Friedrich, and Friedrich is a human. He's a man of another farm that's very close to Animal Farm. So that's a really big deal for them. Snowball was their most important and loyal leader, most important member, and then now he's saying that he sold himself to their most hated enemy. So at first the animals didn't believe that, but the animals, being stupid as they are, they believed it. They're like, oh really? I didn't think Snowball was like this, but I guess he is because Squealer says it, because Napoleon says it. And then Boxer goes ahead and he says, I do not believe that Snowball was a traitor. Because Squealer was saying that, Snowball did this, Snowball did that, he was a traitor from the beginning, he was working with Mr. Jones, now he's going to the humans to destroy us all. So now Boxer can't stand that. He's saying, I don't think that Snowball did that. Snowball was our leader, at least my leader. And I'm going to fight for what he has been chased off for. So he argues with Squealer, which is not really a good thing to do when he has dogs with like around him. Okay? Again, animals are stupid. So Boxer was arguing with Snowball. He was like, no, I'm right. Squealer's like, no, I'm right. And eventually Boxer loses. Because, let me tell you something about Boxer. He's a very warm-hearted and kind horse. I keep saying person. He's a very kind animal. And he's very loyal to whoever taught him first, which was Old Major. He died. So it was Snowball. So his leader, in his mind, was Snowball, not Napoleon. However, Boxer is very naive. So he says that because all the animals believe it, I guess it's right. His two mottos: 1, I will work harder. 2, Napoleon is always right. So I'm like, whoa, bro, that's messed up. Why is he always right? No, he's always wrong. He's spreading lies. I wish they would understand. I wish they weren't so dumb. And then I was getting mad. I'm like, dude, why are you doing this to us? I'm like, Orwell, dude, Mr. Orwell, I'm gonna write a new book for you where Snowball doesn't die, okay? The good guy has to stay alive. So after I had my rant of the book, I went back to the story. So it turns out that Boxer had given up. He said, okay, I guess if Comrade Napoleon says it, it is right. So Boxer kind of treats Napoleon as a god. He looks up to him, he says he's always right. That's the key word. Someone's always right, they're a god. You can't be a human. Being a human, you can't be always right. It's in human nature to be wrong, to make mistakes, to learn from them. So I'm like, bro, you're really stupid. So after their argument, Boxer, he grew old. He retired. But then, I should tell you this. So Boxer retired, I guess, because he was at the exact age to retire when he turned 12. I want to retire from school. So he says he's never gonna retire. He says, no, I'm fine. I am strong. But the fact was he wasn't strong. He wasn't as strong as he used to be. He wasn't as energetic. So what happens in the end is he eventually dies. But not because of old age. Guess where he goes to? He goes to the knackers. And if you don't know what the knackers is, it's where they chop animals. So what they do is, the animals you eat, you don't think they're all fresh, do you? You don't think that they take these healthy pigs and horses and lambs and feed you that. No, you're mistaken. They take these like old animals who are dead and then they chop them and they give it to you. They serve it to you and they give you and then they're like, pay up $50. So it's a rip-off if you think about it. That's why rice is always the best option. God, being Asian is good. So, Boxer goes to the knackers, which was obviously ordered by Napoleon. And then in the very, very, very end, what happens is everyone is dead. And who's alive? Napoleon's alive, Squealer's alive. But then Squealer is fatter than he was. So he was like this, now he's like this. So he went to obese to extremely obese. He should go on a diet or something, eat a salad. Napoleon's alive, Squealer's alive. Snowball is forgotten, Boxer is forgotten. Clover is alive. She's 2 years past the retirement age. And then all the unimportant animals that you thought were unimportant were alive. So I'm like, wait, it doesn't make any sense. Benjamin was alive, and he's a donkey. He's a donkey that likes to criticize a lot. And he's very ironic and hypocritical. Yeah. Does that sound like Benjamin Franklin? Oh my god, I think I just insulted one of the greatest inventors of the history. Oh well, oops. Amendment 1, freedom of speech. So, all the unimportant characters are alive. But then at the very end, this is what obsessed me the most about the book. What happens is Napoleon is having a meeting with the humans about the farm. So they go into a room, and then Clover thinks they're taking Napoleon for torture or something. And she thinks that they're whipping him or torturing him, or I don't know, they're hypnotizing him, I guess. So all the animals go to the window and they peek in. But then they don't see, they see, and they see mugs clashing and drinking and more mugs clashing and more drinking. And then they realize that all the commandments are broken. What they do is Napoleon and Squealer, not necessarily Snowball, just these two, they break almost every commandment. They alter. But then the ironic thing is that in the beginning, it says that these 7 commandments are unalterable laws made for the sake of Animal Farm. And guess who said that? Napoleon. I hate this book. So the first commandment is okay, I guess. But then the things that most changed was number 3, no animal shall wear clothes. Because what they did was they took Mr. Jones' clothes and then they wore it. He had leggings on and sweaters on. I don't want to imagine a fat person with leggings. Uncomfortable. Number 4, no animal shall sleep in the bed. They slept in the bed. But then Squealer was like, no! The 7 commandments wasn't no animal shall sleep in the bed. It was no animal shall sleep in the bed with sheets. We're only sleeping in a bed without sheets. Because why he did that was the pigs were the only ones who could read. And Muriel the goat, who wasn't that important, she could read too. But then her reading wasn't that perfect. So since the pigs were the only ones who knew how to write and read, they could change the commandments however they wanted to. So that's why he did that. And number 5, no animal shall drink alcohol. Well, obviously Napoleon was jogging. He's like, and then he was like eventually dancing with the humans at the end. It's messed up. But then, all overall, I think the seventh commandment was broken the most. All animals are equal. So, in the end of the book, it says that the seventh commandment, they saw that the seventh commandment was altered too. And that was the only one not altered at that point. And then instead of saying all animals are equal, it said all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. That just proves that the commandments were pointless. And you know the song that you all enjoyed, Beast of England? It's a really fun song. So that was abolished too. And abolished means banned, and if you do it, then you're gonna get punishment some way or another. So that's what happens, and then they make a new anthem, and they say that Beast of England is no longer necessary because it's talking about the rebellion. It's talking about why the rebellion should happen, and if the rebellion happened, what good it would do to the farm. However, the rebellion is over, so there is no need for the song anymore. So they abolished it. They're like, nope, you can't sing this song. And they made a new song. It's called Animal Farm. And I think the lyrics go something like this. Animal farm, no harm shall come through me or thou me. And that technically means that as long as you stick by Napoleon, you'll be safe. You won't be harmed. You won't be of trouble. Because Napoleon is the almighty God. Well, sucks for you. I'm Christian. So I think it's about time I wrap this up. Tie the loose ends. Animal Farm is a wonderful book. That's really the only word I have. It's a piece of art that should be acknowledged by people everywhere around the world. And if you didn't know Korean, you students, I heard this is your stuff. Yeah. It's acknowledged in Korea, America, England, Australia, and what other countries there? Antarctica. I don't think they read there though. Never mind that. I'm just saying that this book is really amazing. It's entertaining in a way. It gets the readers hooked up on this book. They feel these emotions and they want to punch the book. Or cry on the book. Or laugh on the book. So that's what I like about this book. It teaches us many lessons. It teaches many facts about how cruel humans are. Which is something that we don't realize. We're humans, and it's not like movies where your dog says, I want a sausage, I want a hot dog, and you give him a hot dog. They bark, and then they go like, bah, and they go woof, woof, and meow, and you don't know what they're saying. Well, obviously, that'd be weird if you did. So they don't realize how bad we are to the animals. So I think that's one of the lessons that we should learn from here. Even though you hate animals, then don't go near one. There's no need to torture them. There's no need to, oh wait, I think I'm being ironic because I'm eating those animals. Hey, you vegetarians, you're really nice. Me, not so much because I eat them. But bacon is yummy. Sausage is good. Anyways, so the main lesson I got from this book was that whoever influenced you first, you should put your heart to them. And what I mean by that is Boxer. Let's use Boxer as an example. His first leader was Old Major and Snowball. And then after they were chased off and dead, I guess, Napoleon was the leader. Napoleon wasn't a leader. He was like Kim Jong-un. He was a dictator. And I'm not saying this to be funny or anything. It's true. Like if you see how he how he killed the animals, how he drove them off, how he got everything he wanted. That's not being a leader. That's being a dictator. He's doing everything he can to get what he wants. He doesn't care about the other comrade's opinion. He just wants what he wants. He wants money, he wants food, he wants clothes, because they're comfortable. If you think about it, how uncomfortable animals are. They don't have clothes, they don't have a home. I mean, they have a home, but they don't have a sofa and TV and video games like we do. They don't have technology. All they have is a leash and their food tray and newspaper to do a number 1 and 2 on. If you don't know what I mean pee and poo. So going back to the original topic was that, let's say I followed my parents first. They were my first influence, they were my first leaders. I look up to them. And then let's say they passed away of old age or they died of a car accident. And then there's my stepmom, my stepdad. And then they're leaders too, I guess. Now I look up to them because I don't have any parents to look up to. But then they're not exactly what you were expecting in the first place. Because the first influence you have is the best influence you'll ever have. That's what I learned from this book. And I don't know if it's true to some of you or none of you, but it's true to me. So you can actually find your own type of lesson in this book. And before I close up and go eat dinner, I'm going to share with you a prompt. So this was actually a prompt that my teacher gave me to write as a test in an essay. And I'm not really good at those, but then this prompt was kind of came to me like right away. Oh, I know this one. I know this answer. I can think about it very well. So sorry teacher, but I'm going to share this with my fellow comrades. So the prompt was, even though Napoleon does not directly interact with the animals, it is shown that he is working behind the scenes through specific characters. Find 3 examples from the book proving that Napoleon works behind the scenes. Make sure that you put the page number on the margin of the paper. So this prompt, I was thinking about it for a second, and since we only had like 40 minutes to write the whole essay, I was thinking, oh, I already know 2. Boxer, squealer, done. But then I have to think of 3 examples. I'm like, oh, the third one is always the hardest. So I'm like, and I was thinking about it for like 30 seconds. And it came to me, the dogs. You know those things? Those dogs that chased off Snowball. So those 3 were the ones that came to mind. And how? Well, if I actually paid attention in class, guys. Hooray for me. So I knew that Boxer, he was manipulated by Napoleon. He was Napoleon's, like, how do you say this? Descendant, mercenary? I don't know how to say this, but he was a person that looked up to Napoleon as a god. Not as a friend, not as a parent, not as a teacher, not even as a comrade, which is what they were used to calling Napoleon and the other animals. He looked to him as a god. He was always right. Everything he did was not sinful. He didn't do anything wrong. Even if he chased off his first influence, he was never wrong. He was always like, oh, I guess he had a reason to, but that wasn't all Boxer's thoughts. Boxer at first, he thought, that's not fair that Snowball was chased off, because all the animals watched Snowball going like, and then being chased off eventually off the farm. And then Squealer was the one that convinced the animals that Comrade Napoleon said that Snowball was a traitor and he was working from in the beginning with Mr. Jones. So it is for the sake of the animal farm that we get rid of him. Liars. So anyways, so that's how I thought Boxer was working behind the scenes with Napoleon. And Squealer, yes. Squealer, as I told you maybe a couple minutes ago, Squealer is Napoleon's mouth. He talks. Napoleon thinks. He secretly sends the message to Squealer, and Squealer says it. But I get the process. I'm like, okay, maybe Napoleon doesn't want to speak because he thinks he's like all this in the bag of chips. I don't get that though. Bag of chips. I want chips. I'll get that after this. So Squealer says that Comrade Napoleon is the god. He is the leader. You don't think he's the leader. You don't think he's the god. He is. So he's stating for a fact that Napoleon is always right. He's never wrong. Every action that he does has a purpose. But Squealer is so smart and he's so good at convincing the other animals that it actually works on the stupid animals. They believe Squealer, but then technically they're believing Napoleon. So that's kind of like the manipulative strategy that Napoleon is using, which I kind of still don't get. So I'm just going to confuse you more if I go on with this. Last, the dogs of Bluebell and Jessie. He turned them into a private army. And I'm like, okay, so eventually the dogs were going to die anyways because they barely got enough food. All the food went to Squealer and Napoleon. They ate the animals. They ate the apples. Sorry. They ate the apples, they ate the milk. They ate the barley. Well, they used the barley to make beer, but technically ate the barley. They ate almost every source of food on the farm. And then once a year on holidays, which one of them was Napoleon's birthday. It's like President's Day. They got one apple and then biscuits. Oh my god! I totally want an apple and biscuits every year, once a year. So the dogs, they didn't get food. So what they were technically being manipulated by Napoleon. So all three of these examples are how Napoleon manipulated them and used them for his own good. Because all three of them turned out dead or unfortunate or yeah. So they never had a happy ending. The only one that had a happy ending was Napoleon. So even at the end, I bet Squealer even realized that, wow, Napoleon was the bad guy behind this. It was never Snowball. But then he was kind of forced to that because Napoleon was the only one giving the food. I'm telling you, food is a really important concept. So that was my answer. And I'm actually going to ask you to find your own answer. Your answer might be the same as mine, but it better not be the same reasons. I'm watching you. I'm kidding, but I am watching you. Google Earth. So I'm going to share with you this prompt sometime after this book review, and then you are going to write an essay. And I hope you leave some comments or thoughts and click the heart button. Because this book is really good. I guess that's the only word I have. It's a really good book which gives you lots of lessons, lots of stories to tell to your grandchildren. And remember to treat your pets well and give them food. And I'm hungry now, so I'm gonna go get some food too. Bye-bye.